Hi guys. This is ASMR October. Welcome back to my channel. So tonight I'm going to be doing another soft-spoken video. It was very well received, so I'm just going to keep doing it, give my throat a little rest from whispering. So it is a story time, as you can see in the title, and if you're looking for like a sexy, exciting story, this is not that. But you might get a little laugh from it. And I'm just interested to hear other people's thoughts who might have gone through it. So, as I've mentioned before in the past, I have bunions on both my feet. My right foot is not that bad. I mean, it's not like a straight foot, but it's definitely not like, you wouldn't look at my foot right off the bat and be like, bunion. But my left foot is bad. And then I have very flat feet, like a duck. Like, they're not webbed, but I just felt like I needed that disclaimer. But they're flat. Like, there's no, I mean, my hand can't be that flat, but like, there's no arch. So anyway, I have always been, and I think I've talked about this in other videos, like, I have always been very against doing bunion surgery because I felt like I wasn't in excruciating pain. So it doesn't really make sense for me to go have like a very like time what was the word I was thinking? Like, I'm not going to have an extensive surgery that's going to have like a really long recovery and just take a lot of energy and time and like really have me like out for the count for a long time. So then a while back, as many of you know, I work for a healthcare organization, and we have like weekly newsletters. So one of the newsletters that came out happened to have a story about someone who's an employee, like her experience having bunion surgery. And ultimately, like, she was young, she was like in her late 30s or early 40s, and she was talking about like she didn't have like a crazy severe bunion, she had like a, you know, like a middle of the road bunion, and you know that like it was in, you know, she wasn't like debilitated, but like it was, you know, it impacted her life, and like the same reasons that she gave for like not wanting to have surgery were the ones that I had. So basically, like, long story short, she like gave this whole story of like how she went for surgery, and the surgery now it's like way less extensive, and you know, it's much more manageable, and like recovery is shorter, and like I was like super optimistic. Like, she was saying they don't even put you under general anesthesia, they put you under local, and I was like, this is great, like this is the shit I would like to do. So I told Jesse, and I was like, let's go, like I'm gonna go for a consultation, and like if I'm only out for a couple weeks, you know, and I'm working from home, you know, I'm out of work for like a couple days and then working from home for a couple weeks, like that's fine with me. So I go with Jesse to the doctor, and this is like a big deal for me because like I, for years and years, I was like, I'm not getting surgery, I don't, you know, want it, yada yada. So we go to the doctor, and we go in with the medical assistant, and he's like, so what are you here for today? So I take off my shoes, and like they have this thing that you like put your foot up on. So I put my foot up, and he turns around and he goes, oh, never mind, I know why you're here. I was like, sir, you don't have to come for me like that. So he was laughing. He's like, I'm just saying, like, I know why you're here. I was like, all right, you don't know. So he took me for x-rays, and then when we came back, like the x-ray was up on the computer while we were waiting for the doctor, and like I was looking at the x-ray, and like it didn't look as bad as like my foot looks, and I was like, is that my foot? Because that foot doesn't look so bad. So the doctor came in, and you know, he was asking me like, you know, why did I come, and yada yada. So he looked at the x-ray, and he's like, oh, your x-ray isn't actually that bad. And I was like, and then he's like, but your feet are very flat. And I was like, yes, as I've lived with them my whole life. I'm well aware. So basically he explained that my bunion works like, what did he call it? A joystick. And it like, the whole foot moves with it. He was doing some crazy thing. And I'm like, how exciting is this? So he was like, basically, me going in there, hype and excited for this simple surgery, change my whole life. I'll be a better bitch on my bullshit, rocking shoes that I could never rock before. Nah, he fucking shot me down. Basically, because of my lovely parents, well, my dad with his flat ass fucking feet that I inherited, I am not eligible for the easy surgery. So if I wanted to go through with surgery, like if I had the easy surgery, what would happen is over time the bunion would come back, because something happens like when your feet are flat and there's no arch, like everything spreads. So like instead of like when you have an arch, like your toes are together, but when they're flat, almost like a fucking duck, they all spread out, and that's what forces the bunion out. So he was saying like there's not, like if you were older, I would say like, okay, have the easy surgery, because like how much longer you got left, but because I'm young, like the chances that I would have to go through that again are very high, and like obviously they don't want to just like keep shaving bone off your foot. So the surgery that I am a candidate for, of course, is extensive as all fuck, and basically involves them like putting a plate on the top of my foot, like up here, and shaving the bone down. But the plate would like force a small arch into my foot so that the bunion, like the foot, wouldn't go flat anymore, and then my feet wouldn't grow another bunion, basically. So of course that is quite an extravaganza of a surgery. You're off the foot for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 6 weeks, and then you're in a boot, or you're in the ski boot, and then you're in the boot. I don't know, I couldn't fucking keep track. And then like you're in sneakers, and then you can go back to regular. It's basically like a 6 to 8 month thing. And I was like, yeah, that's not gonna work for me. He also suggested that like in terms of pain, because it's interesting, like I get a lot of like lower back pain and hip pain and leg pain, like in my knees especially. And turns out it's not just because I'm fucking out of shape, it's because when you have flat feet, same thing when you don't wear supportive shoes, guilty as charged, when you're stepping or standing for long periods of time, it shoots back up through your leg. And I'm assuming when your foot is flat, you're absorbing everything, as opposed to when you have an arch and like you're only absorbing it at like the pressure points of your foot, I guess. I don't know. I'm sure whoever's like in medicine listening to me talk is probably like freaking out at my horrendous description, but this is not like a medical consultation. It's just me recounting the story for you, so try not to be like hard on my summary, but ignore my stomach. But ultimately he was saying I can try an orthotic first, like a custom orthotic, just to alleviate some of the problems that stem from the flat feet, and then I can decide like if/when I want to have that extensive surgery. He did say that like the extensive surgery is like the cure, like if you have that, that's going to be like the problem solver. But you guys know how I feel about surgery. I want to go out with what I came in with. I mean, I didn't come in with a bunion, but we've bonded. His name is Bob. We're very close. I think he would be upset if I kicked him out. I mean, in all seriousness, I don't fucking know if I could devote 6 to 8 months. Like maybe if I like hated my job and like needed a break. I just wanted to work from home. I just don't know. And my whole thing, and I think I've said this before, is like, if I can have survived all this time with all my little like knickknacks that, you know, like sometimes I sleep with like what the fuck is it called? A splint? It's called the splint? It's like a thing you put on your foot and it like moves the foot straight so that the toes don't overlap. He's like, that's good. That will stop you from ending up like this. For those of you that don't understand, it means your big toe crosses over your middle toe. So I was like, but, you know, as you can imagine, super hot and sexy, sleeping with my husband. And I mean, I don't have sex with him with the bunion thing on, but I just mean like laying in bed. Luckily, Jesse is like not phased by any of that, but I don't know. I'm just like, you know, I'm doing all right. I don't know if I want to have surgery. So probably not doing that. I actually owe them a phone call because they called me about the orthotic and I didn't get back to them. I've just been super busy since I got back from vacation, but I should definitely call and just be like, hey, stop. Especially because I'm pretty sure my insurance covers that, so like it would be a good idea to have that. But like, I'm a terrible patient. Like, I'm super vain, and he's like, you know, like, you can't wear like flat sandals and flat shoes to work. Like, he actually said that ironically the best shoe for people with flat feet is something with a small heel. And I was like, go fuck yourself. No, I'm just kidding, I didn't say that. Actually, in another video I'm going to show you a pair of heels that I got from Amazon that I'm like obsessed with because they're actually comfortable, which like, get the fuck out of here. But I, like, immediately the next day I was in fucking flats at work. Like, I'm so vain that I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna switch my shoes. I mean, I could put an orthotic in my flats, but like some of my shoes that I have like are open back or, you know, open toe. Like, I'm not fucking putting an orthotic in there. You know, I am considering getting orthotic flip-flops though, because nowadays like a lot of the orthotic flip-flops are not like old looking, like they don't look like old lady shoes. As he was saying, like, I'm sure you don't want to be like an orthotic sneaker, but like, you know, the insert will at least like relieve some of that. So, you know, I'm down for the insert, especially in like sneakers when I'm doing a lot of walking. I have pivoted, like when I go like out, like when we were in Vegas, we were walking around Vegas and like everyone else was in flip-flops and I was in sneakers. Granted, they weren't like great supportive sneakers, but I was in sneakers as opposed to flat flip-flops or whatever. So I am trying, I mean, also because fucking Vegas is dirty as shit and God knows what would like get on my feet, but like I do try to be more conscious of like what will be better for my feet, but I definitely have to get on that with like calling them about the orthotic. But I am curious, like, for anyone that's had this surgery with like the metal plate and all that jazz, like, did it really help? What was your recovery like? Low key, like, if you had a bad experience, like, don't tell me because one day down the line I might want to have it, and whatever you tell me will just haunt me for the rest of my life. Because even if 100 people told me they had the best experience of their life, if one person said it didn't work, then I would be scarred for life. That's just part of my mental illness. But yeah, so I was like very sad when he told me that, because, you know, obviously I went in there thinking like quick fix, easy answer. And Jesse and we didn't get into an argument, but like Jesse's mom has had like a lot of health things, like surgeries and stuff, and she hasn't worked since before he was born, and that's a whole other story. And, you know, when you don't work, when you don't have shit to fucking do, you can have surgery. You could just take time off. You could just be on the couch. You could have people wait on you hand and foot. I can't do that. So I have a lot to think about. like, if I want to have surgery, I can't just be like, okay. So, you know, he was like, not bullying me, but he was like, all right, so you're gonna have to have the surgery. Like, do you understand what he's saying? And that's like the only thing that's gonna fix it. And I was like, I don't know if I want the surgery. Like, he's like, if you're not gonna be in pain anymore, why wouldn't you have it? And I was like, I'm not in excruciating pain. Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably like, on really bad days, maybe I'm like a 7, and that's on my like worst days. The average day, maybe I'm a 2, maybe. So that to me is not enough, like, to go have elective surgery. And, you know, we were going back and forth, and finally I was like, I really need you to like understand that, like, I just need you to support my decision. I don't need you to like pressure me to make a decision. Like, I have to first take in all the facts, because now I am faced with information that I wasn't expecting, and I have to think about, like, how does this impact Jesse? How does this impact my mom? How does this impact work? How does this impact the people I work with? Like, you know, this is elective. It's one thing if it was like, you know, either you do it or we have to amputate your foot. Like, okay, you know, but this isn't do or die. This is totally elective, and like, my quality of life is fine. So you weigh the pros and cons of that. So finally, like, he acknowledged, like, that he's so used to his mom that, like, he just automatically assumes that, like, if you're told you need to have surgery, like, end of story, you have surgery. And like, he understood where I was coming from. And, you know, he does agree that, like, starting with the orthotic is a good way to go, because at the end of the day, like, the surgery is not going to change. If I don't do it this year, and I decide next year, okay, now's the time, then I can do it next year. So, you know, it was just discouraging, but we'll see what happens with the orthotic. But, you know, it is what it is. I'm over it now, but at the time I was like, ugh. But I definitely think it's important. I mean, obviously, when it's something much more serious, this is much harder to do, but like, sometimes when you're being told information at the doctor, it's really hard to process everything that's going on and like ask questions. And like, I would totally suggest, if you have someone in your life, whether it's like a friend or a family member or a coworker or whatever, that you could bring with you just to like also hear the information. I would advocate for that even more so if it's something more serious, but just so that someone else is like hearing and processing with you. And then also, like, if you have questions, like following up and asking them and like not being afraid, or if you have questions in the moment or you want something reiterated, like, you know, I mean, I wasn't intimidated in this instance because, like, again, it's not do or die, it's not my life, but like, it's not life or death, but like, even as I was taking in the information, I was like, whoa, like, I wasn't expecting this. Like, I was trying to process, you know, and there were some questions that I asked him about the recovery, but like, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to, you know, bring somebody with you. And like, if you're ever at a doctor that like is trying to rush you or like not answer your questions or like hurry your questions along or dismisses your question or doesn't let you have someone in with you in the room or doesn't like let you bring an advocate, like, don't go to that doctor. I don't care who they are, what they are. Don't go to that doctor, because you're entitled to know all of the pieces of the puzzle and know all of the information to make an informed decision. So don't ever, you know, agree to something without really knowing like what is involved and really understand like how this is going to impact you and like what are the pros and cons. Again, when it's life or death, it's a very different situation, but my point being, like, I was there for total elective surgery, consultation, not necessary, not life or death, like, you know, not life-altering information that this man is giving me, and I still was having trouble. So imagine the more severe, the harder it is to process. So please, you know, be a good advocate for yourself and like make good decisions. And that includes like coming prepared to appointments, thinking about questions in advance, asking questions, having someone with you, etc. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at with that right now. Again, if you have stories about the surgery, I would love to hear them, unless they're bad. Don't tell me. But yeah, so I hope you found this, I want to say interesting, but that just sounds so funny. I hope you found this boring as shit and you're asleep by now. And by the time you get to the end of this video, it's like your second or third time watching it, because the other first couple times knocked you the fuck out. As always, like the video if you liked it, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Okay? Bye guys. Bye guys. Bye guys.